Okay, some assistance was requested on some of the problems on the review, so I'm going to go over them, and then I'll let you know what page numbers in the textbook cover these types of problems also. This entire chapter has been about two types of relationships, um, and those relationships are between two variables, like circumference and diameter, or the amount of paint you need and the amount of wall space you have to cover. In the one problem, it just gives you numbers associated with arbitrary variables. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out whether we are working with an inverse proportion or a direct proportion. And in the directions for this review, in each one of the problems, it tells you that the variables involved are either inverse or direct proportion. They're in one of those two relationships. In fact, the first one says, actually, I'm going to cover 10 and 11 together. It says that R is inversely proportional to S. So as soon as I see that, I am going to cover that because I know I'm dealing with an inverse proportion. So now I know I have two variables, no matter what letters they use, that when they are multiplied together, they will always result in the same number. And for number 10, it says R is inversely proportional to S. So I am going to write R times S, therefore, is always equal to the same number. And then it gives us a value for R and S. It says, well, in one situation in this relationship, when R is 10, S is 30. So knowing that anytime they're multiplied together, they'll give me the same number, I can multiply them together, and I can see that that number is going to be 300, 30 times 10. So now I know anytime R and S are multiplied, the result is going to be 300. So this is the constant of proportionality, and this is the equation that we can write now that we know the constant of proportionality. And then says find S when R is 150. So it tells us, okay, well, this pair multiplied together gave us 300. So this pair multiplied together must also give us 300. And in this case, R is 150. So some number, when I multiply it times 150, should give me 300. And I'll let you go ahead and solve for that number and put it in. And I believe the directions say, make sure you put it in as S equals whatever number this turns out to be. So that was questions 10 and 11. When we get down to question 12, it says the circumference C, so it gives us a variable, of a circle is directly proportional to the diameter. So now I know we're dealing with a direct proportion. I know that one variable, when divided by the other, gives us our constant of proportionality, or that one number is always equal to that constant times the other number. And it gives us this formula. It says C is always equal to pi times diameter. Now, pi is not a variable. Pi is a number. In fact, later on in the problem, it tells us to use 3.14 as our estimate for pi. So this symbol actually represents the constant of proportionality because, like we have up here, variable equals constant times variable. Now we have variable equals constant times variable. And we can simply say that the constant of proportionality is pi, or 3.14. However, I don't know in your past math classes if you dealt with pi, but 3.14 is a common estimate of the value of that number. So now we know every time we have this relationship that the circumference is always equal to 3.14 times diameter. So we can, the formula is already given to us and the constant is right in the formula. And then it says, what is the diameter of a circle when the circumference is 105 centimeters? So we will go back to here. And it tells us, well, C, we're going to make C 105. is equal to pi, and I'll use the 3.14 this time, times diameter. So now we can divide both sides by 3.14 and solve for d. And please also, a couple of things. Notice in the directions it says, please enter the answer as d equals something. And it also says to round to the nearest tenths place. So over here we will have a number with a decimal point in it, and we will have one number to the right of it. So that is problems 12 and 13. Problems 14, 15, and 16 talk about a different situation, but it's still two variables, and it still says the volume of paint used, V, is directly proportional to the area, A. So we're still dealing with directly proportional. We're still dealing with these two types of things. And it says the volume of paint is directly proportional to the area. So we have some number times the area, or using the other formula, the volume and the area are directly proportional. When I divide one by the other, when they tell me the volume is directly proportional, it means the volume goes on top, is directly proportional to A, and then it gives us, and so this is our formula, and it gives us two numbers. It says when the volume is 5 liters, it covers 75 square feet. So we can use this to figure out what that K number is going to be. 5/75 simplified as 1/15. So in this particular situation, anytime we divide volume by area, we should get 1/15. Or anytime we're given volume or area, we can put it into this form. Volume always equals 1/15 area. So this is our equation relating V to A. V equals 1/15 A, or V over A always equals 1/15. This is the equation we're going to use. How much paint would be needed to cover 180 square feet? So we are given A. How much paint volume? Whoa, I'm way down here. Sorry. How much paint volume is necessary to cover 180 square feet? So we're given area. So now we can solve for volume. The volume is going to equal 1/15 times 180. And I believe the question says, please enter your answer as the number of liters. So you will enter how many liters results from attempting to paint 180 square feet. So I hope that helps. In the textbook, these examples start at page 283, and these examples, the direct proportion examples, start at page 266. So you can get more help with these kinds of problems in the textbook by looking for examples on those pages. I hope this helps. We can go over more of this tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to go over 2 new problems tomorrow. We can push off the test a day if we need more time to review these kinds of questions, but I wanted to respond to your need immediately. So let me know if this is helped tonight. Thanks.